Hello everybody and welcome to another Archetype guide for Arkham Horror the card game. Today we're going to be talking about the Secret Archetype research as was requested in one of the comments. This archetype, I really enjoy it. It's probably my most played Seeker archetype. The goal of this archetype is really it's about searching your deck and finding cards, finding what you need when you need them, but ultimately taking advantage of searching through your deck to trigger these research effects, which is a trait on cards. However, unlike what we did with Spirit last Saturday, the research kind of extends just beyond it, and I think Travis, it's no surprise that being able to just draw a million cards each turn and search for the exact cards how can that not be fun, right?
It is very fun.
It's very fun. Let's start talking about some notable cards. Talking about with probably on par with like Hypnos and Nodin themselves, we got Mandy Thompson. She's a 3-brain, 5-book, 1-fist, and 3-foot investigator. And she has the reaction ability when investigator at a location would search their deck or the encounter deck, they may either search 3 additional cards or resolve 1 additional target of the search. Sorry, can someone else take over because I'm stuck in a thought of how Mandy and Gloria would work together and I can't break it off.
Absolutely. She is the researcher, so it's no surprise that this is her archetype. As you'll see later, most of the research cards that are like actual research cards, they trigger when you're searching your deck and you find them, and then you get to like kind of get an effect out of them. So her ability to either search for more, dig deeper into your deck and see more cards, or to just like pick an extra card is really nice for triggering those. Mm-hmm. The first card that we got to go with her is Mr. Rook, who unsurprisingly lets you look at a bunch of cards in your deck. Weird. This guy costs 3. He has 2 hearts and 2 brains, 3 uses as secrets, which is important for some things. And as a lightning bolt, you can exhaust him and spend a secret to look at either the top 3, 6, or 9 cards of your deck. You pick a card from among those to add to your hand, and if you see a weakness there, you also have to draw one of them, in addition to the one you pick. Then you shuffle your deck. This is a nice way to, just look at a bunch of cards in your deck, trigger your research stuff, and dig out the things that you need to play the game with as well.
It might sound scary that you have to draw your weakness, but imagine a situation where you could choose the time to draw your weakness as opposed to just drawing it randomly at the end of your turn. Having control over when you see something like that is a great thing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
We also generally don't talk about the taboo list in this series, but I think Mr. Rook is an excellent kind of segue into the taboo list for this video because he has been tabooed. If you're just starting out, which we imagine you are when you're just viewing these archetype guides, play without the taboo list for a bit and live with Mr. Rook in his busted, broken self for a while. The 2 Old Book of Lores, as what should be no surprise here, also help you search your deck for an action for Mandy and non-action for Daisy, yada, 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 for 3 cards, and you get to choose one of those cards and draw it. Once again, as Travis said, the research cards that we're going to see in a bit, they care about when you find them while searching your deck. And this is a great way to potentially have those trigger once a turn, which is really great while also choosing and drawing a card. The Upgrade Old Book of Lore allows you to play the card for reducing its cost by 2 for one of the secrets, and there's 2 secrets on there. But luckily, there are some tricks we can pull when we're going to see some astounding revelations coming up. No Stone Unturned. Wow, no surprise. Also searches your deck. 6 cards for the level 0 one. For the 5 experience one, it's fast and you get to search your entire deck for any card. If you're searching your entire deck, odds are you're going to hit a research unless you've already hit them all. It's very expensive XP wise, and actually like No Stone Unturned has kind of fallen out of favor as it's gone, but with a limited, as like our collections have grown, but with a limited collection, No Stone Unturned definitely still brings the noise.
I still really like it as like just sort of a filler card.
Yeah. It's usually, same with me, Travis, it's usually in like my 29th and 30th card in a lot of my yellow cards or yellow decks, or like as a one of if I need to fill a spot. It's just good card to have. Speaking of good cards to have, I love Eureka. So this one is, if the skill test is successful and it commits for a brain, a book, or a foot, you get the performing investigator searches the top 3 cards of their deck for a card and draws it and shuffle their deck. So not only have you passed a test, congratulations by the way, you also get to search for a card and probably in this archetype hit a research and get the proc off of it. So enough talk about researches. Travis, I'm going to throw Astounding Revelation to you to kind of talk about the research cards.
This is our friend Shocked Rabbi. So most of the research cards cannot be played. They all have symbols to commit for, just in case you draw them normally. And they all have the ability that when you search your deck, and in this case, Astounding Revelation is among the search cards, you can discard them to do a thing. Astounding Revelation itself lets you either gain 2 resources or place a secret on an asset you control. And of course, you're only allowed 1 research ability per search. You don't just get insane value off taking purchases.
Before you go getting all crazy with your level 5 no stone unturned, I'll proc all my researchers at once now.
Wait a minute.
Gain 6 resources. Yeah. So you get 3 copies, which is really nice because there actually aren't. I think there's only 3 research cards or 2.
I think there's only 2.
There's only 2 that aren't Mandy's.
Yeah, the third one is Mandy's. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's great, to be honest. Playing secret is sometimes relevant, especially for playing Mr. Rook, but just getting 2 resources for your search often pays for whatever effect you use to search for, so it's really actually love to see it.
One thing to be aware of in this archetype that's not as relevant in other archetypes that we have covered, but mulliganing actually does carry a bit of a risk with this archetype, to the point where if a card is just good enough, you might want to choose to keep it as opposed to drawing an Astounding Revelation or the Surprising Find, which we'll get to next, into your opening hand, because you do lose, it's not the end of the world, but if you're looking to squeak out the maximum value you can out of this archetype, that's just something to be aware of, that drawing an Astounding Revelation or Surprising Find in your opening hand really hurts the value of the card. Wow, speak of the devil, there's Surprising Find. This one's kind of a really neat, it's a myriad, like Astounding Revelation, where you get 3. It commits for a wild, so if it's in your hand, you can still do something with it, and you can actually have an easier time than with Astounding Revelation. But I mean, in a Seeker archetype, +1 book is never a bad thing. When you search your deck and Surprising Find is among the search cards put into play into your play area, you must commit it to the next eligible skill test you perform. If that test is successful, draw 1 card, and like Astounding Revelation, max 1 research ability per search. So, like Astounding Revelation, this is just more gravy when you are searching through your deck with this archetype. Surprising Find, it reads very low value, but if you look at it as rather just it takes effectively 2 cards out of your deck. So then in a search, you get this card, the card you're searching for, and then once you pass this test, you get a 3rd card. So it's makes it so that you're going to be cycling through the decks and finding the things you want to find even quicker. Speaking of things you want to find, Travis, I'll pass this one to you.
So Segment of Onyx is the intended payoff for this archetype, where you need 3 copies of it, and if you have 3 of them in play as a lightning bolt, you can set them aside and search your bonded cards for the Pen to the Queen, which has 3 charges, and once it has no charges, you put the segments back into your deck so you can research them again. But while it exists, it takes up your accessory slot, and as a lightning bolt, you can exhaust it and spend 1 charge to choose a revealed location, and then either you move to that location, you discover a clue at that location, or you automatically evade an enemy at that location. Very powerful card, and deceptively easy to put together when you're all in on this research archetype. Would recommend.
Yeah, card's bonkers. It's bonkers. All right. What does this archetype synergize with? Well, a lot of things, actually. It synergizes with high experience and situational cards because being able to search your deck allows you to have an easier time finding the cards you need when you need them, or finding your expensive cards to play. If you have expensive cards, you spent the experience on them, you want to find them, this archetype will help you find them. This includes the Pendant of the Queen and the Segment of Onyxes. Being able to build that together multiple times, as Travis said, is very doable in this archetype. This archetype also has some synergy with the Secret archetype in the Seeker class. Astounding Revelation specifically, this has great synergy with the Secrets archetype. It's just gives you more secrets if you need them. Not really much more to say there. Last one is hand size of Seeker, the Seeker archetype hand size. You'll be searching your deck a lot and adding cards to your hand frequently. This means your hand will likely always be full. That is not a hyperbole. It's you kind of definitely see, like, you could easily build like this Seeker research hand size with a little splash of secrets, no problem, and you'll do fine. Especially like less with other ones, like Daisy can do it all right, but Mandy can like do it like chef's kiss, right? There's just being able to find the cards when you need them and also drawing additional cards each turn makes it so that you're going to have a lot of cards in your hand and make that archetype pop off.
Yeah, just by nature, this archetype doesn't really like do anything on its own, kind of, but it enables your other archetypes very well and lets you find the cards that you need to make them function quite consistently.
Mm-hmm. All right, Travis, I will pass the deck to you.
Okay, so this is Mandy deck. It's got 50 cards in it because you're allowed to play that many, and also selected purple as your secondary color. So the purpose of this deck is just a big old toolbox. You have the ability to dig through your deck and probably quite quickly find whatever card you need, and you're playing a bunch of cards with niche uses to get the most value out of that. Okay, we'll start off. This is 50 cards, eh? I'll start off with some of the basic Seeker stuff, I guess. We got Dr. Christopher because, while Dr. Rook is your main man, Dr. Milan will help you get resources in the interim and boost that book up to 6. Always nice. Mm-hmm. Got a Death 13 card, +1 book, always good. 2 old Book of Lores. Supports the research archetype and just a nice asset to have. Hawkeye folding camera, again, just something to boost up that book and your brain as well in this case to help you manage. Treachery's a little bit better. Shortcut, great card. Deduction, great card. Don't need to talk too much about those, I don't think. Acquiring Mind, great skill again, just +3 as long as there's a clue on your location, which you'll be doing quite frequently. Cryptic Writings and Crack the Case, both great choices. Cryptic Writings, most of the research abilities tell you to draw the cards, so if you find them off a research ability, you probably get to just play your Cryptic Writings for free. And Crack the Case, again, you're getting your clues, so
those resources.
Yeah, might as well get money to play all your garbage. For our enablers, we have, again, the old Book of Lore. We got Mr. Rook, of course, discussed earlier. Fantastic card. 2 copies of Eureka. 2 copies of No Stone Unturned. Just level 1, because this deck's already 32 experience. We don't need another 10 added in. And I think that's about it. It doesn't look like much, but trust me, a single copy of Mr. Rook does a lot for you, including usually find the other copy of Mr. Rook.
Oh, is it only a single copy?
What?
Did you say single copy of Mr. Rook?
No, I mean, like, even just having 1 copy of Mr. Rook does a lot for you if you don't.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure I didn't put the deck list wrong.
Yeah, no, there's definitely 2 in the deck.
Okay.
For our actual research cards, we of course have the 3 copies of Astounding Revelation, which you actually quite often aren't going to be taking the resources off it. You are most likely going to be using it to put secrets onto Mr. Rook. Because it just makes your search free. You can do it again. Really, really strong interaction. Got the surprising finds, because drawing cards is sweet.
Yeah. And it's also a research archetype video, so we might as well put both researches in with your 50 cards.
Yeah, it's just free, you know. And then we got Mandy's unique thing. 3 copies of Occult Evidence, because we're playing 50 cards. And like with 9 copies, you should be realistically hitting a research every time you search your deck.
Yeah.
And yeah, Cult of Evidence just gets you free clues. Great time. For all of the experience that we spent, our payoffs here, we got the Segment of Onyx. Again, Penance to the Queen is a fantastic card, and if you can play it every turn, that's something you want to do. We got 2 copies of Strange Solution down here in the other category. One of them is the Fighting one, in case you need to kill things, which is, we mentioned in a previous video we recorded today that Mandy could be a fighter, a monster killer, and this is a big driver behind that.
That's
and then the other one we got is just the Economy one, which I think is actually really solid. An action to have any investigator gain 2 resources and draw a card, that's pretty solid. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because like you could like spend all your time doing everything for yourself and then give it to someone else and be like, I care about you too.
Yeah. And then moving up to our Arcane slots, we got 2 copies of Archaic Glyphs. One of them is Guiding Stones, the traditionally good one, which gives you Rex Murphy's ability. When you use it, you get to investigate, and for every 2 points you succeed by, discover 1 additional clue at your location. And the other one is you can spend charge to investigate, and if you succeed, you get to automatically evade an engaged enemy, and it doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity, of course. Basically, you get to evade with your book, which is something that needs to happen sometimes. We got 2 different copies of Dream Diary up here in the hand slots. One of them is the Dreams of an Explorer, which cares if you're a location with at least 4 shroud, and the other one is while you're engaged with an enemy, it gives you the extra symbols, the Dreams of a Madman. One of these is better if you are engaged with enemies a lot, and the other one is better if you are investigating high shroud locations a lot. And if you have them both in play, then you only get one. You only get 1 essence of the dream each turn, but it's probably always going to be worth 4.
But what if you're engaged with an enemy at a location?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's actually incredible.
6
You're right, Brad.
Yeah. it would happen. It's possible.
You just sit down, you're engaged with them, you're like, yeah, I'll take an attack opportunity to like investigate this location with my Archaic Glyphs at +6.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. And then we got 2 different copies of Ancient Stone as well. One of them, if you could just bring up the thing, Arkham DB. Yeah. Minds in Harmony. This one is whenever you draw cards, you can spend the secrets to heal that much horror from a card at your location. Not really an issue for you, but in most cases, but it'll be nice to keep your teammates, especially if you have a Monster Slayer friend, nice and healthy. And the other one is, of course, the damage one, where you get to deal that much damage to an enemy at your location. Once again, lots of the searching effects, including Mandy's ability, state that you draw the cards, so you can trigger these with that. And then, moving on to the purple splash, we got Open Gates, which one of the biggest struggles with Open Gate is not finding them to make them useful, but you're going to be tearing through your deck, so you should be able to find these when you get them fairly consistently. Got 2 copies of Premonition, which I am almost certain is here as filler. 2 copies of Read the Signs. Getting 2 clues is like really good, especially when you get to test at 8. And ignoring the effects or keywords in your location is just a bonus. Mm-hmm. And then there's a 1 of each ethereal form, astral travel, and mind wipe to get you out of sticky situations should they arise.
Yeah. I will say,
I think that's everything.
As always, the deck list is down below, and I already see 2 errors I made in my write-up. Definitely, if you want to actually build this deck list, go down to the link and like see the actual one, right? 2 errors. I'm not gonna say that's a good thing.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Those errors are surprising fine, should only cost 1, and I believe Segment of Onyx Untabooed also only costs 1, as opposed to 3 for Surprising Fan.
That's true.
And 0 for Segment of Onyx, just for your reference. Now, you might be thinking, how likely is it for me to build this machine? It's very possible. 50 cards, the mulligan is probably going to be your hardest spot, but if you get a Mr. Rook in your opening hand, you're like, I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
You always hard mulligan for Mr. Rook with his deck, because if you have him, then the world's yours.
Everything else falls into place after that.
Yeah. And this deck's actually very likely to be built. You can build it for a lot less experience if you play Shrewd Analysis.
Yep.
And you just spin the wheel on all of your untranslated stuff.
Which definitely is not a bad thing.
They're all kind of good.
Yeah.
That's how I played Mandy the first time, and it went great.
Yeah, you're just, I'm going to put everything in the kitchen sink in this deck and see what happens.
Yep, stir the pot.
As always, let us know what archetypes you want to see next. I believe next week we're going on to the Mystics. So let me know if there's any Mystic archetypes you want to see. Otherwise, I will choose from, I think, the 3 we have left. Thanks for watching, and as always, thanks for your support on this series. It's very heartwarming to see you guys like them and give us those thumbs up and comments and views. So if you like this kind of stuff, as always, smash that thumbs up button, leave a comment. It helps push our videos further up on the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.